Good morning and welcome to day 11 of Finding Joy. We're about a third of the way through our study on the book of Philippians, and we hope it's blessing you as much as it's blessing us. Today we're going to talk about finding joy in humility. So yesterday we talked about unity, and unity and humility kind of go hand in hand. We can't have unity without humility. So we hope these two will couple nicely, and as we look at humility, hopefully we'll kind of wrap our brains around some new thoughts about humility and how we can use it to find joy and to serve others well.
Here's what I know to be true. Today's lesson is going to be amazing. It's just going to be really good. It's going to be better than all the other ones. And here's how I know that. We went to bed last night with this lesson already done. Not the one that you're watching right now. We had an entire lesson written, recorded, and I laid in bed and thought, that sucked. I just didn't like that lesson. It didn't sit as well. It didn't say what I feel like the Holy Spirit wanted us to say. So as soon as we woke up this morning, the Spirit said, say this. So whatever it's worth, we trust that this is helpful for you. It's hot off the press, as they would say.
Yeah.
Finding joy in humility, Philippians chapter 2. I'm just going to read a couple verses 3 and 4. Paul says this, that remember, this is his recipe for joy. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble. Think of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interest, but taking interest in others too. I always love how straightforward Paul is. He's like, don't do this instead. So the first thing we'll do is kind of look at the juxtaposition between selfish and humility.
Right.
And see the differences between the two.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at a few ways to actually practice humility on a day-to-day level.
Yeah. So Paul doesn't mince words in his statements, and hopefully we won't either. And as we started to kind of dissect humility, we kind of defined the opposite of, and he refers to this in the passage, Paul does, that to combat humility, or to have humility, we combat selfishness. And so we've defined selfishness as this: it's doing whatever you want, whatever the cost. That's pretty basic and straightforward. But when we try to, some words there's no really in-depth fancy definition for. It's just kind of, it is what it is. And selfishness is putting yourself at the center of your own universe and do whatever you want. So to go against, or to achieve humility, we're going to work against selfishness. We're going to put others before ourselves, which is selfishness. And we're going to see how, we're going to look at Christ as the example, as to how he humbled himself. And hopefully we're going to hit humility nail on the head, and we're going to see how we can find joy in that.
Yeah. And just like any other sin, the way to overcome selfishness isn't to spend all day long going, I'm not going to be selfish, I'm not going to be selfish, I'm not going to think about myself, because then you'll actually spend all day thinking about yourself.
Right.
So instead, you're going to practice humility, which is, we define this, humility is taking care of yourself and others too. I like the fact that Paul says, he says this in verse 4, don't look out only for your own interest, but take an interest in others too. He wasn't saying that looking out for yourself is selfish. It's selfish if you only look out for yourself.
Right.
He's going, sure, take care of yourself. In fact, Jesus said it this way in the Great Commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's a lot of yours. So in order to fulfill that commandment, we have to be healthy.
Sure.
In all arenas, but it can't stop with our own personal health. But we've got to overflow that to others. So we're going to define humility is taking care of yourself and others, of yourself and others. Now, that's a lot of theology and a lot of big words out there. But how does that happen on a Sunday afternoon? How does it happen on a Monday morning? How do we practice humility? I love the way Paul put it. He says, you practice humility by taking an interest in others. And so practically for a few minutes, we just want to talk about 4 ways to take an interest in other people.
Yeah. It's others centered, not me centered. And I think sometimes it worries us to be others centered, because then we go, oh yeah, well, what about me? What's going to happen to me if I'm so focused on serving others or loving others, or who's going to do that for me? And we've talked a lot about God's family and unity in our communities, and when we take the focus off of ourselves in humility and serve others and love others and take an interest in others, that uniquely comes back to us. It supernaturally fills us up too. Remember we talked a couple days ago about finding joy in God's kingdom? Well, so many things in the kingdom are upside down. They're not what you would expect. It's actually the opposite of how it seems it should be. And so it seems like for our best selves to be taken care of, we take care of ourselves and we make ourselves the center of our universe. But in God's kingdom, because it's upside down and because it's opposite, it's actually when we serve others in humility, when we love others in humility, when we take an interest in others in humility, it fills us up too. Mm-hmm. So it's the unique thing, and it's a supernatural thing, which is sometimes is why it's hard to wrap our brains around how that works. But there's a trust in that it does work. And when you practice it and when you live it, you see that it works. And so you're motivated to continue in that and to keep practicing that and to keep living that and to always do a better job of serving others in humility and taking an interest in others. So we're going to talk about just 4 ways that we can take an interest in others, and you're going to see how that just flows right into humility in our spirit. And hopefully it's going to be a real encouragement to you, and hopefully it's going to be real practical. Yeah. It's going to be something you can do today. So let's get started. Jay's going to come with our first way to practice an interest in others.
So as we look at these 4 ways, we're so tempted to apply these to maybe one arena of your life or the other. I challenge you to actually take a pen, download the notes, or take notes on your own, and apply all 4 of these to your family. Apply these 4 to your marriage. Apply these 4 to your parenting. Apply these 4 to your friendships. Apply these 4 to the team you manage or you work with, your coworkers. These truths are universal. Yeah. They work in every relationship. Yeah. And the first way to take an interest in others, this is going to be real earth-shattering here, is pay attention to what they're doing. Take an interest in the things that they're doing. Romans chapter 12, Paul writes this. He says, live in harmony with each other. This is verse 16. He says, don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all. I thought this morning as I was rewriting this lesson, it's a great title would be don't be a know-it-all. He's going, be interested in others, even if you think somehow you're better than them or above them. He's going, take an interest in others. As it pertains to the family, I thought about it as our kids grew up. We were always interested in, or at least tried to be interested in whatever was interesting to them. Yeah. I mean, so, when Bailey was 5 or 6, we knew all about dinosaurs. Everything you could know about dinosaurs. All of a sudden, we were all dinosaur experts because we loved him, and that's what he loved. And then later it was longboards, and then it was lacrosse, and now it's coding. He's taking a coding class, and we're all of a sudden interested in coding, mainly because we're almost to graduation. For Ansley, it was artwork and the stuff she'd draw on the sidewalk, and then eventually it was Tamagotchi. I don't know why that came to mind this morning. And we were all about keeping these little virtual animals alive by feeding them and watering them virtually, of course. But now it's neuroscience. Right. And at different stages of their life, in order to show that we love them, and we have to do this as a marriage too, in order to show that we love our friends, our coworkers, our spouses and children, we have to take an interest in what they're doing. Yeah. We may not be interested in that topic, but we're interested in them, and they're interested in that. Right. So pay attention to what they're doing.
You act interested in a lot of things that I'm interested in that I know you have absolutely no desire to sit and talk about.
And vice versa. When I'm talking about this cool feature on the website or the app, you're like, "Oh, Jay, that's so cool." And honestly, I know she could care less. But she
And when I want
acts.
to talk about politics, Jay acts like he's interested in politics, but he's not. Doesn't care. So yeah.
Number two.
So I do think this, as we talk about act interested in other people. Think about I can think about times in my life and like growing up, but even now as a 47-year-old, think about how it makes you feel when somebody seems interested in what you're doing or what you're talking about. It makes you feel so good. Yeah. It makes you feel seen and heard, and there's just not a better feeling. There's just such a connection when somebody makes you feel that way. Some people are naturally great at it. I can think about people in my life that are so good at that. And then I can think about people in my life that I know have absolutely no desire to hear what it is that I'm talking about or whatever. And that's okay too, but just think about the way that people that do take an interest in what you're saying or talking about, think about how that makes you feel. And when I think about that, it makes me want to in turn do the same thing for other people. So it's a real humbling thing to when we can put our agenda aside and be interested in what somebody else is talking about. I love that point. I could probably talk about that for a long time, but
we've got to move on.
We'll move on. Okay, so secondly, take an interest in how they're feeling. Jonathan gives us the verse in Romans 12. It says, "Rejoice with those that rejoice and weep with those that weep." We made reference to that verse, I think, yesterday. But feel the way that somebody else feels. Some people are more naturally empathetic than others. I'm a highly empathetic person. Like, I think I physically feel with people. My heart hurts with people physically. So feeling what other people feel and taking an interest in what other people feel isn't a challenge for me, but I know it is for some people. But I always just say, I can never hear a story. I can never hear a story, whether it's something I read, whether it's something I see on the news, whether it's somebody that I sit face to face with, that I just naturally think, I put myself in their place and think how they feel. And that's something that I think it's a special thing that God has given me, and I'm grateful for it. And he's given it to a lot of people. But some people it's not so natural, but we can still strive towards that. Put yourself in somebody else's place. Feel what they feel, even if they're feeling a way that you can't imagine, that you can't relate to in any shape, form, or fashion. Try just putting yourself where they are and feeling maybe what they feel. And I tell you, when we do that, it humbles us.
That's right.
And it puts us in a position to serve them and to love them well. And it's a real joy to be able to do that with people, whether it comes naturally for you or whether it's a challenge for you. Neither one lets us not be responsible for it. So if it doesn't come naturally for you, it's still a responsibility, and it's still something that we should strive for. So it's important. Feel with people. Put your heart where their heart is. And it's a real practice in humility, and it serves another person so beautifully when we can find the space to do that.
Yeah. And if you're unable to discern how they're feeling, ask them. Like, you ask this question? How does that make you feel? How are you feeling? How's your heart? How's your spirit? And then this is a challenge for me. Pay more attention to how they're feeling than what they're saying. So often I'll nitpick and divide all the words that they say, and ultimately they're really just trying to express a feeling. So number 3, third way to take an interest in others is take an interest in what they're dreaming. I love this. I take an interest if they've got hopes and dreams that are still in their heart. I believe that God has probably put there for them to have. Let those out. By the way, these conversations take time, and they're often unplanned. You can't just sit down and say, all right, today we're talking about your dreams. It is, you see an opportunity. You ask questions like, tell me more about that. Tell me what you'd love to do. Tell me where you'd love to go. And you ask these open-ended questions to kind of get inside and see someone's dream that you love.
Yeah.
Proverbs 13:19 says this: "How pleasant it is to see dreams come true." I love that. It's exciting to see somebody have a dream. Let them verbalize that dream, listen to it, and you're actually coming alongside of them and helping them achieve that dream. That's number 3, taking an interest in what they're dreaming.
Yeah.
How about number 4?
And you're great at that. I'll just say this as a little side note, because you're a dreamer.
I'm a dreamer.
I am not so much a dreamer. I'm kind of about like today. I'm all about the here and now. Jay is very forward and futuristic thinking, so I think that's why you're so good at listening to people talk about their dreams. So it's not supernatural for me to talk to people about what their dreams are, their hopes and dreams. But I work beyond that because just like feeling is natural for me, talking about dreams are natural for you. And then lastly, take an interest in what they're becoming. And I do love this too. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, "That is why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day." And I love the thought of what people are becoming, because none of us from the youngest to the oldest, if we're still alive, are what we're going to be yet.
That's right.
We're all as believers becoming more like Christ. And so we're all on that road. We're all being sanctified every day.
Ooh, big word.
And so we take an interest in what people are becoming and give people an opportunity. And in particular, it's probably the people that we're in closest relationships, like our families and our children, but give people a chance to become who they're going to be and take an interest in that. And it's a real humbling posture when we do that, and give people that space and the opportunity and the grace to become who they're going to be. It's a real exciting thing to watch, but it can be a challenge too, because there's some bumps along that road. But as we talk about tying our joy to humility, you might go, gosh, that was a great list. I don't see how they're connected to humility. They're connected to humility because none of them are really about us. They're about others. We take care of ourselves first, but then let's serve the people that are closest to us in this humble way. And let's let God continue to humble us and serve our closest friends and family and even strangers in humility. It's a really beautiful posture, and there's great, great joy in it.
So we're going to close with 2 questions. How are you taking care of yourself? How are you taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions? How are you taking care of yourself? Question 2, who you're taking an interest in. Who in your life does God say, hey, spend a little extra time listening to them today, feeling with them today, serving them today, helping them discover their dreams and helping them become who I have for them. Those are our thoughts for today. Our time's up. We love you guys. We love your families. We hope to see you again tomorrow.